this forum on making sure that America's children are taken care of in the best child care program that the world can offer. And shouldn't a great country be able to do that?
Yes.
And you know what? For me, it's just a delight to get through the last 17 days that we lived through of slam down, shut down politics. And to be here with this wonderful turbo team of Donna Edwards and Speaker Pelosi working on real issues that the American families have, that we can come up with real solutions. And this is what I'm so delighted to be here. You know, during the last several days, there's been a lot of focus on Obamacare. Well, Obama does care, and that's what we're going to talk about here today. And then it's going to be, well, what can we afford? Well, dear friends, somehow or another we can always afford war. Now it's time that we start taking care of the needs of the American people and begin to build our country again. And I am so pleased to be the dean and honored to be pleased to be the dean of the women in the United States Senate. Now that means I'm the longest serving. But friends, it's not how long you serve, but it's how well you serve that makes the difference. And now with 20 of us, 16 Democratic women and 4 Republicans, we're working on real issues. And we want to extend our hand and our friendship and our clout and know-how at every assignment and every committee assignment to move an agenda forward to really help American families. Now, we, the women of the Senate, joining with our colleagues, we work on the macro issues. Yes, big budget, big foreign policy, big stuff. But you know what? We also work on the macaroni and cheese issues. What we bring to the table is what's happening at the kitchen table. What are families talking about? What are they trying to sort out? The kinds of conversations these 3 wonderful women had, to go to school or not to go to school, the stresses on the families. With Danielle. Danielle worked for me. She worked for me many years ago. I was taller, she was shorter. Now here she is, the executive director of a hospice program, and look at what she's been through. We've got to focus on the macaroni and cheese issues, and that's how we'll impact the macro issues of our country. We need to focus on our families. And that's why I'm so proud of what this turbo team in the House has done, led by Congresswoman Edwards as the chair of the Democratic Congresswoman's Caucus, with Speaker Pelosi at her back, encouraging her and helping her in every way possible to come up with this agenda. And we know what the agenda is because we talk with you. We've met with you. We've listened to you. And we know that for the American women and American families, first of all, the most important thing in addition to love, you need an income. You need an income that is reliable, that is predictable, and means that you can have a living wage. And this comes to why we've got to raise the minimum wage in our country. And we have to make sure equal pay for equal work. And as many of you might say, well, Senator Barb, didn't we take care of that with Lilly Ledbetter? Well, Lilly Ledbetter overturned a Supreme Court decision that had time limits on when you could bring the suits. But we are for something called paycheck fairness, which means when you bring a suit, you're not going to be harassed, and that you have a right to know what the person standing next to you is paid. Most women don't know what the guys are making. And it's not that they don't want to tell you. They'll be fired if they try to be a pal and partner to you. So we want to finish the job we began with Lilly Ledbetter. And we want to make sure we pass paycheck fairness so we truly have equal pay for equal work, and you can pursue that agenda in your workplace. That's number one. Number two, we believe that when you work, you should also have the confidence that you're going to have health care. And this is why we supported the Affordable Care Act. We believe in the Affordable Care Act because all of us knew as we were out there in the communities, listening to you, particularly listening to the stories faced like Danielle, and Maureen and Mimi, that the fact is that for just being a woman was viewed as a pre-existing condition, and they looked for every excuse that they could find to take your health care away from you. And we said, hell no, our mammograms won't go, our health care won't go, and being a woman in America will no longer be counted as a pre-existing condition. Did you? So in some states, if you had a cesarean, they dropped your insurance company. In 8 states, if you were a victim of domestic violence, they counted it as a pre-existing condition. So when that guy whose name I will not mention in the House, that's trying to huff and puff and blow Obamacare away, he says he wants to repeal it and he wants to replace it. I say we will never turn back. That being a woman in the United States of America will no longer be regarded as a pre-existing condition. And if you've got your health care, you got it. And then there's the third issue, which is education. And education is not only K through 12, which we see at the wonderful academy we had here and our public schools and our great public school teachers, but education begins from hour one. From day one, from week one. And that's where we come to childcare that's available, affordable, safe, and is also educational. We're not talking about warehousing our children. We're talking about taking care of our children. It's called child care, child education. And that's why we want to really focus on expanding the opportunities to make child care more available, more affordable, definitely safe, and to have quality standards where those children have the opportunity to be able to learn and to be regular school ready. That's what we're working on. And in the Senate, I'm taking the lead on child care. One of the very first things we want to do is make sure in the tax debate, we keep the child care tax credit. We need to keep the child care tax credit where you can take up to $3,000 a year as a tax break for child care. Now, if we can give tax breaks to send jobs overseas, we can give tax breaks to American families to be able to afford child care. Let's keep that child care tax break. And then for those women who are looking to move ahead in life, that when we look there, we also want to reauthorize the Community Development Child Care Block Grant. That's where I've taken the lead in the Senate and forged bipartisan coalitions, and we want to pick it up in the House. The Child Care Development Block Grant is the primary federal grant program to provide child care assistance for working families. It was last reauthorized in 1996. And in fact, every major program helping families and children was done under the Clinton administration. Nothing has happened since then. And now it's the Barack Obama generation with a new generation of women leadership to make sure we move this forward. Nothing new has been done since 1996. No more. In Maryland, there are 14,700 families that are served by that program. In the whole country, 1.5 million children receive that help. So we're putting together to refresh, to reform, and to renew the Child Care Development Block Grant. That is what was on the agenda in the Senate. We've already moved it through the Health Education Committee. I've had the support of Republicans. There are, you should know, real Republicans who are compassionate conservatives. Do you remember that phase? Yeah. And there are those. Yeah. I find them, seek and you shall find. And so our agenda in the Senate is to join with our sisters in the House to work in common cause on their agenda, on the agenda they've put together, and to be able to move this forward. So we want to be sure that in all of the debate, that when all is said and done, more gets said. Often more gets said than gets done, but now it's time to do the job. And you know, when you have an easy job, you know who to give it to. When you have a tough job, give it to the women. And they'll get it done. And of course,
we started at 5 and now we're at 1 because we're counting backwards. We're counting backwards. Let's go. One little apple sitting in the tree. One little apple smiling at me. And now shake that tree as hard as I can. You know, you got to shake harder because this is a stubborn apple. It's by itself. So let's shake again. Ready? Let's go. And now shake that tree as hard as I can. Shake it again because Mackenzie over here is not shaking hard enough. Let's go. And now shake that tree as hard as I can. Oh, Yana Lynn is not shaking. Come on, Yana Lynn. Let's go. And now shake that tree as hard as I can. And what happened? Now